My name's Lee. This is my Nissan 350Z. It's a 2005 model. It's a GT4 one, so it's one of the special edition ones. There's about 100 of them made in this colour, I think. So I'm going to be looking at the brakes today. There's a few jobs I want doing. I've got new discs and pads. Being a GT car, this comes with the Brembos. First job today is going to be trying to get these new braided flexi hoses fitted. So these will replace the rubber ones, which are obviously 19 years old now. The discs and pads have obviously been changed before on a car this age, but I think these are going to be the priority to get done. Obviously I'm going to have to make a bit of a mess. There's going to be brake fluid coming out and dripping everywhere, so I'm going to leave the old discs and pads in. I'm not going to do too much cleaning up beforehand, but I have already been under the car, just popped the wheels off a couple of days ago and cleaned up around the areas where those brake lines join, and sprayed them up with a bit of WD-40 to hopefully make sure they're going to come undone okay today. So next thing to do is obviously get the car up on jacks, axle stands, get under it, and we'll get stuck in and see if all the unions break free and we can get them changed over. Okay, so we've got the wheels off. This is the bit that we're looking at changing. So from this union here, you've got this pipe that comes round, comes to kind of like a new junction box here, which is bolted to the suspension strut, and then another flexi hose that comes round to here, which is another bracket that's bolted onto the main hub wishbone assembly. And then we've got actually a bit of hard line that comes round all the way to the back of the caliper. So that's, we're going to undo it from there, we're going to undo it from there, then we're going to lose quite a lot of all of this clobber, which is probably unnecessary. This whole bracket will probably go, it all looks like, but you can see I've been in and cleaned these nuts up, cleaned this union up. I've been in the back of the thing. I've already checked that all the bleed nipples come undone, they do, so I'm hoping the same is going to be true of that. But you can see the pads are fairly well worn. We've got a tiny little lip on the edge of the disc, nothing too serious, but I think time for a change. So that's the front. Then at the back, again, I've been in, here's the union for the flexi hose, cleaned that up, lubed it up. Again, we come down to this kind of bracket, this kind of junction box here, and then we've got a hard line once again that runs to the back of the caliper itself. So actually still quite a little bit of meat on the rear pads, but I've got new discs with new pads. I'm just going to clean everything up, get it all done. When you're messing about with brakes, I think it pays to have the proper spanner. You can see this is obviously not quite a complete ring, but this gap here gives it enough space to get around the actual pipe, but then get a really firm hold on the nut itself. So you've still got the 2 extra points, which if it was a completely open spanner you wouldn't have. So let's just hope that this cracks open. Oh, it's tight. Oh yeah, there we go, that's nice. Right, so we know that's broken free, so I'm just going to nip it back up now. We know that's good, that's promising. Let's hope we get the same on the back of the caliper. I'll see if I can get you in there to see that. I've heard these can be a bit prone to seizing. I think we've got movement. Hopefully it's the right kind of movement. I'm just going to clean up a little bit around the back here with this little rotary wire brushlet in the drill. Cleaning up all the muck. Hopefully that'll let that nut come undone nice and easy now. So hopefully you can see now we've got a little bit of movement forwards and backwards. So I'm just going to gently start easing that out. Keep adding a little bit of WD, let that soak a little bit. I won't bother filming the whole process, but I'm pretty confident that's going to come out now. So all this assembly is now loose, so all we've got to do, I'm going to take it off the caliper first, obviously let a bit drip through, take it off of here, get this cleaned up as quick as possible. This clip's got to come out. I need to clean up this union, and then I'll get the new hose on and let some of the old brake fluid just run through, so we're not putting too much air into the system. I'm going to be bleeding it and flushing it all through anyway, but I thought if I get it off of here first, then off of here, connect the new pipe, just let some of that gravity feed, and when it starts dripping out I'll reconnect it to the caliper, and then we can have a good clean up. I've got that off, just put a little plastic cap on that top pipe for now. Came out the back of the caliper okay, bit of a mess but nothing too serious. So this is what came off. So flexi hose, hard line. That's just the clip that holds it in place at this end. So I'll clean that up a little bit, and this is what we've got to replace it. So you can see we've got a similar setup going into the caliper itself with a little elbow on it, and then this is just a single braided flexi line. So let's go about fitting that. There are a couple of little like clips to secure this in place. So some of the original mounting points will be used. This was what's bolted on there. I'm not sure if I'm going to need that or not, but we'll definitely be using the one that's on the back of the strut, because obviously that's going up and down. We might need to fit something to this kind of wishbone mount here as well. We'll see as we get on what looks sensible and what's going to keep it secure and out the way. This part of the bracket did have to go back on, I think, just so that we could mount this. I technically could have used one of these holes to mount it around here, but then it needs to sit behind, so it made more sense to put this back on, I think. I noticed a problem fairly soon after I'd finished the installation, putting the wheels back on. I just wanted to check that there was nothing fouling, nothing rubbing. I had this bracket installed, which is the original bracket, and the kit was supplied with 4 of these, so 2 for each side. They definitely weren't of any use on the rear. The hose is way too short, there's nowhere to mount them anyway. So this is a vehicle specific kit, but I've got a feeling maybe it's also slightly generic. I had this clip mounted on the original bracket, holding the hose, and what I soon realised after I'd fitted everything was it was routing this and pushing it up around this area here, which was fine in this position, in a wheels forwards, suspension at its full extension up on an axle stand. Nothing was interfering, nothing was rubbing. What I soon realised when I put the wheel back on and started to take the wheel for its full range of motion on the steering was that when I turned the wheel all the way to the left, so this back of the disc was kicking out, it was stretching the hose between these 2 points, and it didn't matter how much slack I tried to put into it, it wouldn't not try to stretch that. But the worst problem, potentially the worst problem, was when you turn the wheel the other way, to turn it to the right, the back of this came in and it pushed the hose up. Didn't put a kink in it, but what it did do was made it rub on the inside of the wheel. So I've messed about a little bit, tried various configurations, and what I've settled on in the end is this setup. So I ended up cracking this nut. This was coming out horizontal before, which is about there. What I've done is crack this nut off and tip this down, so it takes the hose down, follows as close to the path of the original rubber hose as it could, then it's coming up. Got a bit of clearance here. I ended up putting a nut on the back of this to take it away from the strut a little bit, so the clip is used to hold it to the strut here. There's enough slack in this for it to go for its full range of travel, left, right, up and down, without interfering with anything. But obviously, being brakes, you don't want anything going wrong, especially on a performance car. So I just wanted to point this out for anybody that's tackling a similar project. There's no specific instructions with the kit. There's, you know, some generic instructions about fitting the hoses to any car and making sure there's no kinks and how to tighten the bolts, bleed the system, etc. But nothing specific to this vehicle or this particular kit. So just wanted to point it out, save anybody else the same bother, and potentially, obviously, it could be quite dangerous if your brake lines are rubbing on your wheels or getting stretched every time you steer in a certain direction. So I'm glad I took the time to go through those checks and have a little bit of a play with it and make sure it's all good before we obviously take it out for a spin. Okay, so here we are at the back. These are a 10mm bolt, and even though I've cleaned them up, it's still quite a tight fit on there. Let's try from a slightly different angle so you can see. There we go. We've got a bit of movement there, that's promising. Again, you can see a little bit of rust starting to move, but the good news is this pipe down here is not moving, it's just this union. All this will get replaced from here down. When I've got this off, I can clean this top bit up, this clip will pop out and I can get everything out and clean it up nice. But yeah, that's good, that's nice and free. Let's see if we have the same luck on the back of the caliper. There we go, that's a nice sound. There, yeah, that's moving. Okay, I think we should be in business. Hopefully all this is going to come out of the caliper now. Again, I'm just wiggling it gently backwards and forwards, trying to free this thread up a little bit at a time. And as a little bit of it winds out, just a bit more WD-40 on there. Try and keep everything nice and lubed up. Right, so we're back in on the back now. That's a bit more straightforward, this one, to be honest. There's no brackets required. You can see it just kind of keeps itself out of the way quite naturally. The way you tension these up can put this natural bit of a hold this kind of curve, so I've just nipped them up so it's going to keep itself out of the way of all the suspension components. So yeah, can zip this side up. So just to show you, these are the parts that we've replaced. So this is the rear, so that part, this part here has obviously replaced all of this stuff here, and then this is the front. That's the bit that went into the caliper. This is the bit that goes up to the original union. There's nothing wrong with these flexi hoses, they're still looking pretty good condition for their age, but I thought it's a good time to be changing them while I'm doing the rest of the brakes, and so far so good. Let's hope the other side goes as well. Okay, so we're about to start bleeding the brakes. We've got clean gloves on, and we've got a little filter there, and then I'm going to try and get a syringe in down here just to pull out any of the old fluid from the reservoir. Try not to drip any of it anywhere. It doesn't look horrible, the colour of this. It's not stupidly old, but I bet the stuff that comes out of the calipers won't be as clean as this. So again, go in, see what we can pull out before we start topping it up with fresh. Okay, I think that's about as much as we're going to get out of there. We can basically top this right up, because we know we're going to be pulling a lot of it through. Okay, so we're basically overfilled there. That will be going down as we put it through. The reservoir is on the driver's side of the car, so for the bleed we're going to start as far away from that as we can, so on the passenger side. And like I said, these Brembo brakes have got two bleed nipples, one for the inner set, one for the inner piston, one for the outer piston. So they're just a two-pot on the rear. We've got one in here, one out here. So I'm going to fix on my, just to start pulling the fluid through, I'm going to fix, first of all I'm going to put my spanner on. So we've got an 11mm ring spanner there. It's going to enable us to tighten and loosen. So we want to be in a position where we've got enough room. So that's going to loosen, tighten. Now we're going to put this little pipe on. This should be a fairly tight fit, hopefully. And then I'm going to pull a vacuum with this little gadget. So what this will do is allow me to build up the vacuum pressure here. Hopefully it'll pull a vacuum, there we go. So as soon as we've got vacuum, we can crack this open and it should start to pull fluid. So this being the furthest one away, I'm going to make sure I pull plenty of fluid through here. Okay, right, we've been round, read the other back side, so now we're coming to the front. So I've got the spanner on the one at the back. It says to bleed the back of these Brembo calipers first. Don't know really what difference it makes, but we might as well do it the right way. So pull a bit of a vacuum, crack that. There's going to be some air come through as well. Down, yeah, up, yeah, down, yeah, up, yeah, down, yeah, up, yeah, down, yeah, up, yeah. Just going to go and check the reservoir. Okay, so yeah, you see we've still got plenty of fluid in there. The next job we're going to do is to change the discs or the rotors, the pads. I've also bought new wheel bearings, new hubs, so I've got a little bit of noise coming from the wheel bearings, and I'm just going to change the lot. All the brakes will be fresh then, everything should be in tip-top condition. I've already changed these lower suspension arms a little while ago, a few thousand miles ago, and I've put new drop links on the anti-roll bars all round. I thought obviously getting the brakes in tip-top condition, making sure everything's rolling right, is the place to start. So if you've watched on for this long, hopefully this has been of some use to you. Thanks very much for watching. I shall see you in the next one.